I've smelled thousands and thousands of fragrances over the years, and not all of them are created equally, especially as it pertains to pulling positive compliments. Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. Today I've got for you guys 15 of the absolute best summertime fragrances that you can possibly get if all you're after, if all you care about is compliments. These are some of the absolute best of the best, the top tier, and we're gonna kick things off with Louis Vuitton's Imagination. Now, I do want to say, Imagination, even though it's in this list, is a little bit overhyped. And essentially that came to be because at the same time, every single TikToker on earth decided this is pretty much the best fragrance that's ever been made. And yeah, that was pretty much it. At that point, it kind of became like the seagulls in Finding Nemo. And that's how Imagination was born. That being said though, it is really, really good for summertime use. Absolutely crushes. It is though, very expensive, so be aware of that. In case the name Louis Vuitton didn't clue you in on that already. At its heart, it's a fairly simple fragrance. It's a citrus forward scent with citron, bergamot, and orange, along with ginger and neroli, so it makes it very bright, zingy, poppy off the top, sweet as well. Then as it dries down, you've got ambroxan. It's gonna give you a little bit of a fresh woodiness, and tea, which is really the more interesting part of the fragrance because that provides a nice balance or counterpoint to that citrus and ginger. And we're gonna talk about citrus and ginger later on in this video with some other scents because that scent profile, ginger plus citrus, works so well during summer. People go crazy for it. So if you can afford it, Imagination, really nice, super versatile, very easy to wear, and a little bit hyped. A little bit. There's some massive fragrances coming up, but first, a fragrance that if you smelled a lot of stuff, might come across as aggressively generic. But believe it or not, people absolutely love this stuff. And sometimes I even have to question myself, like, why? But it works. It is Jimmy Choo Man Aqua. And if it works, you can't argue with it. This one has grapefruit, clary sage, aquatic notes, patchouli, and moss. It has a great atomizer for what that's worth. It's also pretty affordable. At discounters, not gonna cost you that much. At full retail, not that expensive either. A little bit similar to Coach Blue. So Coach from Men Blue, kind of in that same wheelhouse as this one. Performance, very moderate. Not amazing, but good enough for a summertime scent. Where this really shines is it's extremely safe. It's got this fresh, clean, aromatic scent profile. Very lightly sweet, the citrus, very appealing. No tartness here, no sour aspects to the citrus. It smells clean, easygoing. It's extremely versatile. The only drawback really is that performance is so-so, but when people smell this, for whatever reason, they love it. My wife too, she smelled thousands of fragrances as well. She consistently says how good that smells. I have some fragrances that are close to $1,000 for the bottle, and she's like, oh, where the Jimmy Choo? Okay. The next one is a fragrance that has constantly gotten dunked on over the years, but if you're looking for something that is extremely easy to wear, that people absolutely adore, that you cannot go wrong with, whether it's daytime or evening, casual use or work or school or business or literally anything, it doesn't matter. You can wear this, Gucci Guilty Eau de Toilette. People are gonna think you smell amazing. Also the new Gucci Guilty Essence, which used to be called Gucci Guilty Black. It's the same thing, they just changed the name. That one works really well too. So as I mentioned before, when this came out, it got hated on. It still to this day gets hated on, and yet it's a best-selling scent, and for good reason. It works extremely well for day-to-day use. So in terms of the note breakdown, it's pretty simple. You have lavender and citrus in there, great combination, masculine, fresh, clean, lightly sweet. It has woods and vanilla as it dries down, along with orange blossom. And orange blossom actually nowadays is extremely popular once again. You've seen it in fragrances like Myself or Gucci Guilty Love Edition. And so even though this one came out in 2011, it still works, it still smells fresh, it still smells modern. And I know that's not a crazy long time ago, but you can find some fragrances that came out back in 2011 that have not carried over quite as well. This one has, it works extremely well. Very, very nice, massive compliment puller. Now really quickly, a bonus fragrance. I'm not gonna spend much time on this one. It is Frappon's L'Humaniste. This stuff has one of the best smelling openings ever. Absolutely fantastic. Citrus and gin, it's lively, it's bright, it's zingy, it's fresh, the quality is fantastic. The drawback with this is the performance, it sucks. If people can actually smell this on you, they will go crazy for it. The problem is, can they smell it on? The next scent is Valentino Uomo Born in Roma. This is the original Born in Roma. It has some similarities to Invictus or Invictus Aqua, only this one is slightly less on the bubblegummy sweet side of things and more on the mineral side of things. So it's more balanced to me, a little bit easier to wear, more versatile, although Invictus and Invictus Aqua are extremely versatile scents. And it also grows on you quite a lot. I'm not the biggest fan in the world of the original Invictus DNA, though as time has gone on, I've come around to it a little bit more than I used to. It used to be, I hated this stuff. Born in Roma, a lot of people will think of as more of like a younger person scent, right? Just one that maybe teenagers wear, early 20s, something like that. But no, it's actually got extremely high versatility. Middle age, you can pull this off easily. And it's not really one that I would say is just a summertime scent. Yes, absolutely, you can wear it during the summer, but you can wear this during spring, during fall. You can even pull it off in the winter. The next one is from Montblanc. It's Legend Blue. Now, you could also go Legend Eau de Toilette or Legend Eau de Parfum. All of those fragrances are kind of in a similar style. They're similar to Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce and also Parfums de Marly Percival. This one, the blue version, the blue iteration, is more similar to Percival than Fierce, for whatever that's worth. Pretty simple note breakdown. You've got lavender and mint off the top. That's what's gonna draw you in close to that Parfums de Marly scent profile. Very bright and zingy off the top. Also has like a slight aquatic scent profile to it. Nice sweetness. A great out of the shower fragrance, great daytime fragrance, really nice for casual use, good school fragrance as well. You have some woods in there as it dries down. So you've got cedar and sandalwood along with ambroxan and oak moss as one of the other notes. One of the best things about this fragrance, it is a Mont Blanc and it is a Mont Blanc Legend, which means that as time goes on, it gets more and more affordable at discounters. It's already pretty cheap, but as time goes on, it should get cheaper still. And talking about cheapness and discounters, you guys know what's up. Discount codes. You can use these to save money across a bunch of different websites. Gift Express, you can get 15% off. Maple Prime, 5% with free shipping. And then there's also 10% off at the Perfume Box, a bunch of codes for JOMASHOP. Those only work within the app. But you can use any of these codes to save yourself a lot of extra money while shopping at discounters for niche, designer, or cloned scents. Now we're going niche with the next one. It is Neo by Zurjoff. And to me, this is one of the best smelling citrus fragrances out there, period. Bergamot, green notes, and neroli when you first spray it on. It's extremely well done. So it has this like light grassiness to it, which I know maybe doesn't sound amazing, but the way it's used, it is. It smells more natural. It smells like spring, you know, when everything is opening back up again. It's soft, but very vibrant at the same time. And when I say soft, I'm not talking about the projection. The projection is fine. I'm talking about the way it hits your nose. It's not like an aggressive punch. It's just, it kind of opens up. You have some woods in there, some fresh spices as it dries down. That green aspect carries over into the dry down as well, along with a little bit of the sweetness from the citrus. Artisan Pure from Barbados gets you a little bit similar to Neo for a lot less, but it's not really a replacement for Neo. And the price on this, while not as cheap as pretty much anything else we're gonna talk about, it can be decently affordable from discounters, like $160, $170 around there. So not insane. Now I wanna throw a curveball to you, and this is not really for daytime use. This would be for evening use in the summer, like a date night or something like that. If you want something that is warm and sweet. So I know a lot of the time with like most of the stuff I'm gonna talk to you about, it's, you know, fresh stuff. Maybe there's some sweetness in there, but fresh for the most part, right? This one is not really fresh. It is Woods Collection Dusk. And this smells similar to Parfums de Marly's Leighton. It's right in that style, right in that wheelhouse. And you can kind of tell that just by looking at the note breakdown. It has apple, lavender, cardamom, vanilla, pepper, wood. So a lot of similar notes there. It does have a nice cap, nice magnetic cap, so that's cool. And the price on this one has really fluctuated over the years. So sometimes this is very hard to find and it's going for like 80 bucks, 90 bucks, stuff like that, if you can find it. Other times, like as of right this minute when I'm filming, you can find it pretty easy. Tester for like 27, something like that. Full presentation for about 40. So yeah, you absolutely do not want to overpay for this, okay? Because you'll feel bad later on if you pay 80, 90 bucks, 100 bucks or something, and then a month later it's for sale for 27, you know, that's not a great feeling. It is definitely sweet, like I said before, definitely sweet. So this is not the type of summertime fragrance that you want to spray on if you're looking for something that's gonna really freshen you up, you know, have a refreshing aspect to it. It does not. A couple things that do make this usable during summer. The performance is not bad, but it's not monstrous for this type of fragrance. That gives you a little more flexibility. So it's not the type of scent that you spray on and it chokes you out and chokes other people out at the same time. The sweetness is really well done. It's not like headache-inducing syrupy sweet, but it is very attention-grabbingly sweet. So if you use this in the right times during the summer, it can be kind of like a curveball that works really well. Kind of a classic up next, Versace Man of Fresh, which I actually just the other day, I think like 2 days ago, somebody sent me a rumor that they're coming out with a flanker of this, which who knows, by the time this video goes live, maybe that's been proven or disproven, but it would make a lot of sense. I think it was Extreme, Versace Man of Fresh Extreme. But like I was saying, that would make a lot of sense because this has been a very successful fragrance for a very long time. And there's no flankers. It's just the one fragrance, right? There used to be Versace Man, no Eau Fraiche, just Versace Man, kind of a purple colored bottle, but that one's been discontinued for a while, and it didn't smell anything like this one. So yeah, I guess we'll see. Now, Man of Fresh, a little bit similar in smell to Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue for women, only with more of a masculine lean, but kind of similar. Like if you smell the two fragrances, you can tell. This one, a little bit light, but really fresh, clean, sweet, tiny touch tropical. And that's because it has star fruit in here. So star fruit along with citrus, bergamot, and lemon specifically. You have woods as it dries down. A little touch of spices, a little touch of aromatics in there. This one has been out for going on 20 years. I think technically 19, but going on 20 years. So it's been out for a minute, but it works so well. People keep going back to it, repurchasing it. That's why it is still so popular. And if you're looking for compliments, this will absolutely get them for you. Aqua de Dhou up next. This is the Parfom version, the Parfom Iteration Edition. I do not have, as of when I'm filming this, the new Aqua de Dhou Profundo Eau de Toilette yet, so I can't really speak to that one as far as summertime use or how it smells. I will say Profundo Eau de Parfum, also really, really good. I would put that one neck and neck with this one. The Parfum version works doubly well for daytime or evening because it does have a little extra depth to it. It's got incense in there, an incensey kind of scent profile as it dries down. So that makes it carry a little bit better if it's like slightly cool outside. But then of course it's an Aqua de Dhou at the same time. So really fresh, easy to wear, aquatic. And these newer versions of Aqua de Dhou lean a little bit further toward having like a minerality to them instead of a floral aspect to them. Because if you go back to like the original Aqua de Dhou Eau de Toilette before it was changed around and everything, it had more like white florals mixing with aquatics and citrus. But these newer Aqua de Dhous, they've taken a more contemporary route, which makes them appeal to more people. Aqua de Dhou Parfum, can't go wrong with it. Also solid performance, especially for like an aquatic, because normally those are a little bit weak. YSL Myself up next, Yves Saint Laurent. And you know, really there's a lot of YSLs you could go for. YSL is one of the brands that probably walks that line of like compliment getting fragrances the best. Seems like most everything they put out, not everything, but most everything they put out is kind of geared specifically towards that. So you will have some people who will be like, oh, YSL, you know, Yves Saint Laurent, boring, right? Generic, whatever. But if you're just looking for stuff that works, you could pretty much throw a dart at a dartboard of YSL fragrances. Wherever it hits, you're good to go. So Myself is a massive hit, a newer release, newer than everything else up here. The note breakdown, not a lot going on. Orange Blossom, that we kind of talked about earlier over here. It's got citrus and it has Ambra Fix. That's the main 3 notes that make this up. Technically it's a 4-note note breakdown with this, but whatever. It's another one that's very clean, a little bit sweet, kind of like a light, clean clothing vibe to it around the edges. And it is so popular that it's inspired a bunch of other scents that have come out since this one, like Polo 67, for example, or the new Gucci Guilty Love Edition, which is not a replacement for this. They don't smell the exact same. You know, Polo 67 or Love Edition, neither smell like this if you put them side by side. But it is one of those things where you could look at the success of this and how it did it and look at how other brands went, okay, cool, yeah, let's do something kind of in that style, that family, but we're gonna do our own version, our own thing, right? And I imagine as time goes on, you'll see more of that coming out down the road because Myself continues to sell like crazy. And since I got another YSL, I'm gonna throw it up here next. It's L'Homme. This is the original L'Homme. So I mentioned earlier, citrus and ginger, it works. This is one of the fragrances that in a huge way I feel like put that into concrete, right? Where people were like, oh, this? Yeah, awesome. Because the way the citrus and the ginger hit you when you spray this on, it grabs attention like that. Even though it's been out for a while, it still works extremely well. And as it dries down, it does warm up a bit. So it gets more sweetness, it gets this tonka that comes out. And what that does with L'Homme is it gives you great versatility. Perfect during the day, perfect during the evening, perfect as a transitional fragrance between the two. So say you're going out at like, I don't know, 6 p.m. or something, right? 5 p.m., 6 p.m. You want a fragrance that can kind of do that transition from day to night really smoothly. This does, because it starts off very fresh with a little sweetness, and as it dries down, it warms up and continues that sweetness. The next one is pretty much the most popular fragrance for men out, so you definitely know about it. It's Sauvage, and that is the Eau de Toilette. So if we're talking, again, just straight up compliments, this is the best-selling men's fragrance for a reason. It's really the Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum versions of Sauvage. They're the most popular. Elixir also quite popular, but that one is a little more of a specific usage case, right? Sauvage Eau de Toilette is basically made to be your Swiss Army knife fragrance, where anywhere, anytime doesn't matter. It is fresh, a little bit sweet, metallic as well. That ambroxan and pepper and bergamot, the way it hits off the top has kind of a metallic feel. But it is clean, it is extremely easy to wear, and it's strong. It projects, it lasts. So this is a fragrance where you need to know how much to spray on, where you're going, what you're doing. Otherwise, you will be the cologne guy, and I don't mean that in a positive way. People will be like, oh. That's not the reaction you want. Or maybe it is, I don't know. Another blue fragrance is up next. This one is Elisium from Parfom, and this is the Parfum Cologne edition of the fragrance, the more affordable version of the fragrance. The Parfum edition, I feel like smells better, a little bit higher end, you know, quality-wise and everything. But the one that more people gravitate toward, more people wear, is this version. And that is because the bottle is catchier and it's more affordable. And if you want a blue fragrance that is extremely classy, but still really keeps to the blue fragrance ethos of being very versatile, easy to wear, and a compliment puller, that's gonna be one of your best bets. A lot of citrus off the top, a bunch of different types of citrus. Lime, bergamot, lemon, and grapefruit. You have some green notes in here, vetiver, a solid dose of it, juniper, black currant. You've got leather, vanilla, ambergris, a bunch of different notes, as is typical of Parfum fragrances. So you have this fantastic woodiness. Again, that vetiver, I love it. Not everybody does, but I do. It gives you more of a grown-up, sophisticated edge to the blue fragrance while still having this nice zinginess, this sparkle to it when you spray it on. It is expensive, typical Parfum style. Maybe you can find it for a little bit off at different discounters and things like that, but it's gonna be pricier than, you know, a lot of the more typical fragrances out there that you might expect to be wearing during summer. And some people have found similarities between this and scents like Aventus and stuff, so be aware of that. Side by side, I think, you know, they're not really close enough to compare, but it could be one of those things where you spray this on, and if you're really familiar with Aventus, you smell this and you go, oh, you know, it's kind of ticking that box in my head and I don't like it, so be aware of that. Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme is next from Chanel. Now this is gonna be one of those ones that for summertime, yes, you can absolutely wear it, obviously, but for me, it works better as like an evening fragrance than it does middle of the day when it's really hot. And that's because it does have a good amount of sweetness to it and it can come across a little heavy. So off the top, you have orange and mint. That's what a lot of people are gonna kind of remember from this one when you spray it on. A lot of tonka as it dries down. You also have pepper in here, musk, and some woods. So it does have nice freshness when you spray it on. Like I said, that mint, that orange. But it always has this underlying sweet aspect that if you go heavy and it's really hot, it's humid outside, it can come across as being just too much. So be aware with this fragrance how it works off your skin and adjust accordingly, or just use it during the evening or when it's a little bit cooler and not quite as blazing hot outside. That said, does make an amazing scent also for spring, fall, and winter. So this is one of those ones you can wear pretty much whenever you want. And the final scent is this one, Le Beau Paradise Garden from Jean Paul Gaultier. I do bring these up with some regularity when it comes to summertime, you know, compliment getting fragrance lists and things like that. And it's just because they work really well. I'm talking about this one, the original Le Beau Le Parfum, and maybe to a slightly lesser extent, the Flower Edition. So Paradise Garden, this one has a fantastic sweetness to it. Once again, green sweetness, also tropical at the same time. Has some aquatic notes, also fig. So it gives it an interesting twist on the Le Beau DNA. Helps it stand out, works really well for spring and summer. And even though there are similarities to the other Le Beau fragrances, Le Beau Eau de Toilette, Le Parfum, you know, the ones that I just talked about, when you compare it to pretty much everything else out there that you'd be wearing during summer, it does stand out in a really good way. So there we go, Paradise Garden, gonna wrap things up. Also had Polo Deep Blue in here as just kind of an extra bonus one, but the video's kind of running long, so also Deep Blue. It's fresh, it's aquatic, it's good. So there we go, guys. These are some of the best if all you're after is the lamentations of the women. And by that I mean compliments, that's what I mean. Trying to work in these Conan quotes, you know?
And I hear the lamentation of the women. That is good. That is good.
I want to thank you guys for hanging with me here until the end. Stay safe out there, take care of yourselves. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.